Now, since its inception back in 2018, the Creative Circle's Full Circle event's key purpose has been to inspire the transformation of product, people, and perception through the power of creativity. And in fact, the 2023 event once again brings the industry and marketeers together to discuss creativity and its role as a powerful and effective business resource. Let's speak more about the event this year. Bring in Roanna Williams, who's the chair of the Creative Circle, with us in our studios this afternoon. Great to see you, Roanna. Thanks very much indeed for making the trip. Some context. Let's speak about what the Creative Circle does as a start.
With pleasure. So the Creative Circle, we like to see ourselves as the voice of South African creativity. And the people who represent it are all the creative leads in all the agencies around the country. And our core purpose, as you mentioned, is really to transform the product, the people, and the perception in the advertising industry of what we do. And, you know, we really are a force that just is all about our industry. And we just really are trying to uplift our industry, keep it going, and also, you know, through the power of creativity, show businesses that we are actually a force to be reckoned with in terms of like a secret weapon, really, and in what we do for businesses, You
speak about keeping the industry going. I mean, what would you say are the challenges for the industry in a context where many, of course, have been battered by COVID-19?
So, there are many challenges. I mean, the one thing is obviously massive budget cuts due to COVID. We're also seeing a little bit of, people resigning just because, the reconfiguration of people saying work-life balance. There's a little bit of that. But I would say for South Africa, the context is mostly the budget cuts and the problems that we face economically as a country. So those issues definitely affect what we do.
Yeah. In that context, then, help us place this full circle and essentially how you try to distill through those challenges to keep the industry afloat.
So the full circle is really what it does is it brings back the insights and our learnings from the global stage, basically. So recently there was the Cannes Lions Awards. And we had, I think it was 11 on-site jurors and 5 shortlist jurors from South Africa. So it was a great representation from South Africa. And, what happens there is you really get to learn about global creativity and what is working. And it's not really just about work that wins awards. It's about work that works, and that's what we're bringing back. So we want to bring those learnings back to South Africa and really have the discussions and share those, those insights with our community here and say, how can we really improve our product and really convince and get closer to businesses and to marketers in terms of how creativity can really be a driving force and for businesses to do better.
Yeah. And how do you measure if work actually works, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I mean, there's many ways. I mean, it all depends on the objectives of what you're trying to do. But, I mean, we all start with a business problem, and that's what we are here to solve. It's all about what is a business problem, what is a business challenge. And then it's to identify the objectives of what you want to achieve through that. And it could be just massive reach, potentially, but it could be a societal change, like in behavior. So there's so many different criteria that we look at and what different businesses require. So it's hard to say that's what it is. There's many of them.
Right.
But we definitely, define those objectives up front and then aim for those.
Do you have any work that kind of stands out for you, especially for people outside the industry who are trying to better place, what this actually looks like in practical sense?
So, I mean, there was one, I'll take the South African idea that won at Cannes. And that is called Bread of the Nation. It was done by AB InBev for Castle Lager. And what they did there is they took their byproduct of what they create, because their beer is created out of wheat, right? So they took the byproduct, which really they basically, I think they give a little bit to animals for feed, but most of it gets thrown away. And they thought, well, maybe we can create flour out of this. It is wheat after all.
Right.
So they created flour out of this and created a bread that they are then distributing throughout South Africa to people who are starving, which I think is amazing. It's an initiative we need in the country. It helps solve a problem we have that exists, and it's also a big brand, stepping in there and really helping out.
Sure, absolutely. It's also, I suppose, this taking place in a context where I think the advertising industry is under a whole lot more scrutiny. You can't just put anything out there. Sometimes your messaging needs to be right, or else you might have quite literally the opposite of the intended effect, as it were. How much of a consideration do you think that is for players in the industry, this idea of getting the tone right, the message right, the optics right in their work?
No, you have to get that right, 100%, yes. And that's where what's really important is as an individual and as a person in this industry, you really got to understand the community that you're actually talking to. If you don't understand them, you're going to get it wrong. So it's really to go, and there was something that was said I loved, it was go deeper, not wider. So go deep and understand your consumer so that you don't get those things wrong. So you'll know what the tone is, you'll know how to speak to them, you'll know what makes them tick. And that's really, really important.
Absolutely. Well, this is all fascinating, all the very best. And yeah, no matter how you go about your life, advertising is certainly something you cannot avoid, no matter where you are. So, Roanna Williams, thanks very much indeed for coming through and telling us a bit more about your work.